What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a burst fade mohawk with dreads on top. Are you ready? Let's get started.
So first, I'm going to start off with my trimmer. And I'm going to start off by balding out the bottom of the C cup. And if you follow all the way to the apex of the head, I'm going to make the top of this sort of like a point. This helps me keep a nice flow with the blend while I'm blending it in. So now I'm going to take my cordless magic clip. I'm going to start with the lever back and I'm going to make my first guideline. This guideline is going to be about 1 inch. Notice how I'm not exaggerating a C motion and I'm just kind of letting the clipper sit in my fingertips. This makes it a lot easier to blend. So now that I have my guideline, I'm following the same contour of the whole haircut. Like as you can see, this is the edge right here. I'm leaving just a little bit on the edge so that it could be darker. Now I'm gonna take my 0.5 and I'm gonna start with my lever back. The lever back on the 0.5 is almost equivalent to a 1, but it allows you to fade in the range under it and still lower it. If you were to put a 1 on it, you wouldn't be able to lower the 1. That's why I use that first. So now I'm gonna take the 1.5 with my lever back again, and I'm gonna create the next guideline going up to the top. Once again, using the 1 with the lever back is equivalent to about a 1.5, but it allows me to close the lever and fade under the line that I just created. Now I'm gonna switch to a brush and brush this hair out. This texture hair, you want to make sure you're using the right bristle brush. So now taking the 1.5, I'm going to go with the grain. This is going to make sure that there's no stray hairs or there's no like afro at the top of the blend. Leaving this hair too long might look a little funny to him when he looks at his hair, so I like to lighten it and I like to go with the grain because it leaves it just a little bit darker. So now I'm going to go back and I'm start to remove these lines right here and blend it all in. So as you can see, majority of this haircut I'm just going to use the 1/2 and the 1.5. But I'm going to go back in there with the blade and the back setting with the lever in the back setting, and I'm going to remove the line between the 1.5 going with the grain. So now I'm going to brush it all down. And now it's time to remove the skin line. So when I remove the skin line, I'm going to be moving in 4 small lines. So it's going to be 1/4 inch with it closed all the way, and then as you can see, I'll flick it a couple times and then I'll move it back a little bit. And as I move it back, every time I move back, there's going to be 4 flicks and it's going to be a full inch. And now I'm going to go back and just remove these dark spots just with the lever back and using only 1 or 2 teeth of the blade. Using only 1 or 2 teeth is going to give me the maximum control. Once you cut the hair with the guards and it leaves it a little bit darker, you want to go back in there and cut it a little shorter so that it looks like it's blended. So as you can see, this dark area right here, I'm going to go back with the 1/2 guard and I'm going to lighten the hair just a little bit only in that area to make it look like it's blending in. And I'm going to do that to the rest of the spots on this side. So now I got everything blended. It's time to blend down into the beard right now to give it a nice shape. Now to start off blending the beard, I'm going to start with the lever back right about here on the ear. This is going to be where the cheekbone is, and then this is where their jawline would be, and this is where their teeth is. So I want to go to the top of the cheekbone with the lever back. And then now I'm going to slowly close the lever and then move up all the way to the top, removing the line. Now I'm going to do the same thing with the 1/2 with the lever back. And I'm going to lightly flick at that line. And I'm going to close the lever and go right above it. And if I see any dark areas, I'm going to take the guard off and just freehand it as I go along. So now I'm going to take the 1.5 guard and do the exact same thing. I'm just going to lightly go in there, starting with the lever back so that I don't cut the hair too short, and then closing the lever and then only going into the dark spots. You don't have to create lines here. You just have to fade it out only in the dark spots to make it look and appear like it's faded. Alright, now it's time to shape the beard. We have a nice blend here, so we're gonna edge this up first. As you see, I used the thumb on my other hand for stabilization on the trimmer. And I'm starting using small circles, just very, very small circles. Now I'm gonna do the side, I'm gonna brush the hair. I'm gonna start by lining it and pull towards the middle of the forehead. This is gonna make sure that when the trimmer hits the hair, it doesn't vibrate and pull the line back any further than I want it. I'm gonna comb the hairs down in the front. And right now I'm just tapping any of the hairs that I see that are sticking out or any hairs that don't belong. So now we're gonna continue to round around the ears and the back. So as you can see, I'm still using my thumb on the other hand for stabilization. Just round this in nicely. Now I'm going to use just a corner of the trimmer to lighten some of these darker spots. Sometimes you'll fade it perfectly, you'll match the lines perfectly, and they'll still leave little spots. If the little spots are still popping up, you have to go back with a shorter length in order to make the spots appear like they're blending in. So now I'm going to take my electric shaver and just finish the haircut. So on the bottom, I'm moving very, very quickly. I'm only using one of the two cutters on it. And the faster you move, the least it's gonna leave a line. So I'm moving really quick so I don't leave or create any more lines. And then I'm going directly under that and balding it a little bit more to give the haircut more contrast and to make the haircut pop. So as you can see, it's a very, very clean blend already. So I'm gonna go back in there, and this is just where you're creating contrast in the haircut. The more you mess with the trimmer line and the bald line, and the faster you can get that to transition to hair, the blurrier it's gonna look. As you can see right here, it looks really, really clean. So now I'm going to use my razor. I'm going to start at this angle, then I'm going to work my way down. So with the trimmer, I left like a little bit of hair on the beard. I like to use the straight razor and dry shave this line because a lot of people complain that their beards are always taken too low. So when I dry shave, it gives me the maximum control, and I don't go with the trimmer because the trimmer vibrates. So if it vibrates and hits the top of the beard line, there's a chance that you might bring it down too low. So I make the sloppy copy with the trimmer, and then I go back with my blade and make it crispy by bringing the line down just a little bit. So while I'm working on this side, I'm just going to tap any dark areas that I see, anything that's popping out and trying to mess with the silhouette of the haircut, mess with the movement. So when I'm looking at my haircuts, I'm looking at them from far, from close. I'm moving the chair and I'm trying to see every angle that I can. The more angles you can see and the more angles that your haircut looks better in, the better it's going to look overall. So I think we got a good foundation. So now let's match the other side. We're going to start off same thing. We're going to skin out this side right here. And we're going to follow it to the apex of the head and follow the actual movement of the mohawk. And when you make it to this little point, it makes it a lot easier to understand the fading part of it. So now we're going to go in there with my lever back. I'm going to create my 1-inch guideline. This is the first guideline. And if you make it 1 inch and you're going to remove it later, you can move it 4 times in 1/4 inch, and that will make 1 inch total. So it makes it to where it blends perfectly when you're trying to remove the skin line. Now I'm going to take the half with the lever back, which is equivalent to maybe the one with the lever slightly back. I'm going to just raise this line a little bit. Now I'm going to use my brush. Now on this hair texture, you want to make sure you're using a brush and a comb at the right time because this hair can get tricky on you. And now I'm going to take my one with the lever back and start to go with the grain on this hair here. Once again, I'm doing this because I want to make sure that the hair at the top is a little bit darker. All right, I want to have some contrast there, so I want to make sure I leave it a little darker, and I don't want to have it sticking up. So now I'm going to take that same 1.5 with the lever back, and I'm going to go against the grain now. And that's going to help me blend these two lines in perfectly. So with the grain, it's going to leave it a little bit longer, a little bit darker. And then when you go against the grain, it's going to remove the line between the half with the lever open, which is equivalent to like the 1 with the lever slightly back. I know it sounds a little confusing, but I use the half and the 1 guard to transition the majority of the haircut. So as you can see, this is how you fade fast, and this is how you skip steps. Instead of using a 2, instead of using a 1.5, we'll just use the right guard, and then we'll flip it around and use it to its maximum potential. So I'm going around. As you can see, I'm using my thumb on the dreads, because if the guard gets stuck, most of the time it's going to cut a little bit of the dread, and you don't want to do that. So the way I do it, I just use my thumb and I push against the dread, and then I let the guard, you know, slide on the edge of it. So I'm removing all the dark spots, all these small little spots right here. I'm just trying to go back and smooth it out as much as possible before I remove the skin line. So I always leave the skin line for the end, because when you're fading this out, majority of the time you don't need another guard to do your touch-up work, so you can do your touch-up work while you're removing this line. So as you can see, I got a little rhythm going. I leave the clipper in my fingertips. I start with the lever close. I flick a few times. I move it back 1/4 inch. Raise the line a little bit, flick a couple times, bring it up 1/4 inch, and I repeat it all the way until the line is gone. I'm also leaving a little bit of hair around the edges so that when I go back and edge it, it's darker. Now this will make it to where you don't have to use enhancements. I mean, if you want to use enhancements, you can, but it'll also look good when the enhancements wash out. So as you can see, I'm going back here with the half, and I'm just going exactly where I see the dark spots. You don't want to be going and creating lines here. You don't want to be trying to do guides or remove lines or nothing. This is where you want to start using the side of your clipper like a spot treatment. Like you want to make sure you're going in there, and all the dark spots, you're going to go lower. So if it was where you would normally use a 1.5, you're going to go back in there with a half. If it was where you would, you know, be a 3 and it still looks dark, or 2 and it still looks dark, you're going to go in there with a 1. And you're just going to go right on the dark spot, because what you're trying to do is create an illusion with your clippers that the hair is blended. So we got that side blended out. Now it's time to shape this side of the beard as well. We're going to use the same system, you know, on the ears. And I'm going to skin it up to that part where is the top of the cheekbone. As you can see really quickly, you close the lever, it goes in there, and this is where having a loose lever, as I explained, comes in handy. So I'm going to make a couple videos explaining how to, you know, gradually loosen your lever to get smoother fades faster. Now on this side, as you can see, I didn't really need to go back with all the guards. It kind of faded out just with the half, so we're going to go and run with that. You don't want to do any extra work just because you did it on the other side. You want to just make the haircut look good. So as you can see, I'm just using the corner of the blade, small circles as well, to create the right form, leaving the hairline as natural and as pushed out as possible. I don't want to go in with it. I just want to create a nice movement, something that's going to grow in nicely and something that's going to complement the haircut. Now I can't stress enough how much you should be using the thumb on your other hand for stabilization, because it really makes it to where, you know, on the weird angles, I'm right-handed, so there's one side that's easy for me and the other side isn't so easy. So really using that thumb really makes it to where you can get some really stable lines and small circles. So I'm going to go around the back. I'm not really a fan of square necks or U-necks, as some people would say round, so I normally like to square it out and then round the corners. That's normally how my round necks go. So now let's get to it with the hairline. I did the bars on the side. Now it's time to make sure we get the hairline nice and clean. What we're doing with this hair, it likes to move, so we're gonna make sure that we're brushing it down frequently. And I'm gonna continue to work my way over. So this was the higher side. I worked my way on the higher side, and as you can see, when I get to this right side, it's a little bit lower. But I mean, it's all right, because if you want the hairline to be straight, you have to go with what he has and kind of, you know, make it work. So as you can see, while I'm edging the top, I like to use the clipper kind of like a comb so that it can grab the hairs. So what I'm doing is I'm using my other thumb for stabilization, and then I'm kind of combing through the hair at an angle before I edge it downward, so that all the little hairs that would normally stand over don't stand over the hairline. So now what you want to do is make sure that you're checking the hairline by putting the head down. So normally when we edge people, as you can see, you put their head up a little bit so that you can get a good look, but they don't walk around with their head like that. They normally walk around with their heads down. So you have to make sure that the hairline also looks straight like that. As you can see, I'm looking at it from close, from far, from an upward angle, from a downward angle, just making sure that it looks good and it looks symmetrical in every single way. So now we're going to take another look. Now it looks pretty straight. On the right hand side, it looks like the bar needs to go a little back, but I don't want to go crazy trying to make it too perfect, because then you're going to start pulling the hairline back and they're going to have a bad growth, and it's just not worth it sometimes. So now I'm gonna go under and start on the bottom of the beard. So I like to keep this nice and square, and these side lines on the side I like to go back slightly so that it gives the beard a wider appearance. I don't really like to put the client's head all the way back, because it makes it a little bit more difficult when you're trying to make a straight line. So I like to use my hand as a brace so that they can kind of rest their head in my hand, and I kind of like move their head around naturally so that while I'm edging, I'm getting angles that they would naturally be moving their head in. And that's also going to give your beard good angles when they're looking around. Like when they go places and people see their beard, that's what's going to stand out to them. That's going to make it really easy for you to get clients when, you know, your haircut looks good in every angle that people look at it in. So now I'm going in here and I'm creating this sloppy copy that I explained to you before. I'm just going in here with my trimmer and trying to remove all of the longer hairs that would pull or that would hurt. And really not creating the cleanest beard, but just giving myself a nice guideline to slide in there with the razor and make it really, really fresh. So as you can see, I'm going in there, just cleaning it up, making sure it looks nice and clean. So now I'm gonna shape the beard. To do this, what I'm doing is I'm pulling the blade back and I'm actually watching where I want the hair to cut, and I'm looking in the back of the blade and I'm watching the hairs as they cut, using the blade as a comb to comb it out. So this is what it looks like. As you can see where the beard line is, I'm just letting the clipper blade slide on it back. So now I'm gonna edge the other side of the mustache. Make sure it's nice and clean. Alright, so now we're gonna go in there with the straight razor, and we're gonna make sure that the beard gets this extra crispy line. So as you can see, this is what I meant by the sloppy copy. I didn't go in there with the trimmer and try to make it super, super fresh. But now I'm going down a tiny bit on my line with the razor and making it look extra crispy. One of the tricks with the razor is to make sure that you're not overstretching the skin. You want to make sure that you have some tension, but you don't want to have too much tension. Too much tension is going to give you razor burn, and it's going to really, really irritate the skin. So now I'm going to go around the whole hairline, the edge, the beard. Then I'm going to check the work. Everything's looking clean. Another trick when you're using your straight razor is to use small strokes when you're dry shaving and try to create some momentum with the blade. Don't try to just go in there and, you know, carve through. The razor is very, very sharp, but once you start getting a little bit of movement on it, as you can see, I start building up a rhythm before I start tapping the longer hair. If you can build up a nice rhythm, it'll give you a nice smooth shave once the blade is already moving. So for this haircut, we're gonna add a little bit of enhancement. So I'm just going in there, making sure that there's no hairs that are overhanging. making sure that the points match, making sure that the top of the beard matches. So this is where the finished product is going to come from. So these bars on the side have to make sure that they're even. As you can see, the beard line has to be even. And now I'm going to take my electric shaver and I'm going to start to create that pop that I was talking about on the other side. I'm going to really deeply create that contrast by feathering out the line at the top by using speed, going back in there with my trimmer, tapping it one more time just to create just a tiny bit more contrast, and then using the electric shaver on the very bottom to make sure that it's nice and clean. So now we're going to go around and use this pencil. It's just a little bit lighter than the skin color. We're going to go back and we're going to edge over this, and that's what's going to like lighten it a little bit and make it look like that white line that you see on socials. So the first things first, we're going to add enhancements. This also just gives you a lot more contrast. This is going to look better when you're creating content. This is going to make it really stand out for your customer. Now, not every customer is going to want this, but understanding what's going on and understanding how to apply this is going to give you more options for that customer. So I'm going to show you how to do it. So you're going to go in there and just lightly draw on the hairline. Try to make these lines as crispy as possible. This is also going to give you an opportunity to go back and check your line work and make sure that, you know, all your lines are even on the beard, even everywhere else. Now you want to use just the tip of it, you know, make it look really sharp. I'm kind of twisting his head up here so his hairline kind of looks crazy, but it's going to look really fresh in a couple seconds. So as you can see, we're going to make sure that we got our enhancement gun and that it's blowing and the dye is coming through it. And then what we want to do is we want to make sure that we're spraying close to the hairline but barely on the card. So we don't want to have like an enhancement gun that's overpowered, that's going to just spray a whole bunch of black, because it's not going to look natural. You want to lightly spray it and lightly apply it. So as you can see, I'm going in there and have it set up to where the spray gun is just lightly coming out. So we're going to go over there, we're going to cover the white line, and we're going to go and start to enhance all the lighter spots. You can use a business card for this. As you can see, I'm using one of my shop stickers. So once again, I'm just using the white card just to spray a little bit on it, and I'm using a distance that's not putting a deep amount of black onto it. It's just lightly adding a little bit of enhancements just to make it to where the haircut still looks natural, but it still looks super duper crispy in pictures, and it still looks super duper crispy if he has an event or something like that. As you can see, the blend already looks good, everything already looks good. We're just going in there and we're adding a little bit of contrast where the lighter areas are. As you can see, the fade on it looks completely flawless. I'm going to go back in there. As you can see, I'm just adding just a light amount of enhancements. Like I said, I just want the gun to be able to spray a nice mist. I don't want it to be too thick. So now I'm going to go back in here with my trimmer and I'm going to try to pretty much lighten this line out. Doing this is going to make it appear to be more natural as well. It's going to take away the deepness of the white line and make it look like an ash line. Now while you're doing this, you don't want to be pushing down too hard because you already bladed it, you already edged it before. So, you know, if your trimmers are sharp, this will be a time where you actually like mark them. So you just want to be very careful. Me, I'm not using a lot of pressure. I'm going in there using small circles. Like I said, there's still a couple of spots there that has darker white lines, but we're going to go in there with the razor and with the trimmer and make sure that we're cleaning it up nice. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way around the hairline, lightening up that white line, making sure that it looks nice and natural. Now, as you can see, we're going to continue to the hairline. We're going to continue on to the other side. Now what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to use the trimmer blades to go in there and lighten that white line and make it appear to be an ash line. Some of the customers that you cut will naturally get an ash line, and then this won't be necessary, but if they're looking for enhancements, if you're looking for contrast, if you're looking to create content that's going to stand out, that's going to pop, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to this detail. So the finer you lay that white line in, the better it's going to look for the pictures, the more symmetrical it's going to look. So you really want to make sure that you're really focused and really locked in on this part. So now I'm going to use the blade again and just lightly tap it. Like I said, I'm not trying to overstretch, I'm not trying to do anything. I just want this to have a very natural appearance. I don't want to over razor the skin and give them razor burn. I do not want to cut them. I do not want to burn them. So once again, all I'm doing is just lightly going around. This is going to create like a whiter or a lighter tone around the hairline, and it's going to make the enhancements look darker. It's going to make the hair look darker around the edges, and it's going to make the haircut look crispier because there's more contrast. So as you can see from all the angles, the haircut looks good, it looks clean. And this is what the finished result looks like. Naturally enhanced, super clean, and ready for the world.
You guys have it. In this video, I showed you step by step exactly how to flawlessly execute a faded or a burst fade mohawk with dreads on top, keeping it super clean, enhancing the hairline. Also, how to use the skin tone pencil in order to create pop and contrast when you're actually doing the final touches on your lineup. So once again, if you guys got any questions, be sure to let me no.